Hi, everyone. I am going live today to talk about something that came up in a conversation yesterday with my mom. We were talking about stupidity and what sort of transpired in that conversation. I really wanted to share because it felt really, really like an important distinction that, if not reminded, we might forget. And uh, here I am to remind you. So, the thing I want to start with is that all humans are intrinsically brilliant. And there are lots of humans who might show up as not so. And it would be very compelling to judge them as stupid because they make a choice or take actions or say things that might be more demonstrative of stupidity than of brilliance. And I want to break something down that is incredibly important to understand so that should you be a person who perceives someone as stupid, you can learn to look in the right places. And should you be a person who perceives yourself to be stupid or um, not performing to the degree that you want to perform or not um, creating to the degree that you want to create, that you understand the mechanisms that are at play here because you're not powerless and people are not powerless in the way that some think. You know, we've been trained that our IQ is unchangeable, and I disagree. And I have a completely different experience. And um, as is typical of me, my life and my life experience and the research that I've done on myself has been very much what informs so much of how and why and what I share here. But how it works is we have a limited supply of energy on a daily basis. You know, we need to sleep to restore our energy. And if that energy is being consumed through the acts of self-preservation, whatever that is, in many people, it's quite overt defense mechanisms. Through others, it's busyness or going all the time. Through others, it's incessant thinking. It's a form of self preservation to be wrapped up in our thoughts. It's a form of self preservation to be actually defensive, which is to say, avoidant, paralyzed, or aggressive, or the many layers that exist beyond that or underneath that. It is our attempt to preserve ourselves. It's our attempt to be in survival mode. That act, if you want to call it that, it consumes a lot of energy. And when our resources are going towards being fueled by the self-preservation mechanisms, there is not much left to put towards brilliance or towards humility or towards receptivity. Although it is all there, the energy is then blocking what is underneath that because we are protecting what's underneath that, which is everything that comes actually quite naturally to us. So our humility, our wisdom, our discerning capacities, our ability to know what is right and wrong, or ability to know whether we are a yes or a no for something, and our receptivity and our vulnerability. Those are all our natural states. Those are all things that are written in our souls, regardless of what is on top of it. And I feel it's an important thing to emphasize right now because as you look out into the world and you might see things that you feel are stupid or you feel are wrong or you feel are um, incorrect ways of living, it's an important reminder that what you're seeing is someone's self-preservation. You're not seeing who they are when you are seeing those things. And so my invitation for that experience is to be willing to see what's underneath that. Be willing to see someone beyond their self-protection and beyond their defense mechanisms, because being willing to do that is your way of learning how to receive things that you might not like so much. And if you are a person who feels challenged and as though you are not creating in the way that you want to create, or you are not where you want to be, is really to go into inquiry and ask yourself, how much of my energy is devoted towards protecting myself and keeping myself the way things have always been, and how much of my energy is going towards um, seeing what's underneath the hood, seeing what's underneath all of that. This is what some people call transmutation. Not some people, a lot of people call this transmutation. Is this reminder that underneath our behaviors and our ideas and our thoughts exists something significantly more powerful, and it is intrinsically beautiful, and it is intrinsically brilliant. And I'm not talking about brilliance as in cognitive intelligence. Everyone's brilliance is going to show up a little bit differently. Like some people might have, like I have a facility with language. When I am at ease, I am very good at giving language to experiences, and that might not be the way someone else's brilliance shows up. Someone else's brilliance could be much more silent and much more quiet. It is to each of us to discover what that brilliance actually is. But I want to remind you that there is no stupidity. There's no dumb. There's stupid behavior, but people are not stupid. And people are very, very smart. And smart and as in wise. And when they stop allocating their precious resources towards the things that cover up that, they suddenly become, which is to say, to discover within themselves, a massive amount of brilliance. And I have experiences all the time with my clients, and I have had this experience with myself. But I'll say on behalf of my clients, in a span of 3 months, they get seemingly smarter. I have clients who, when I first start working with them, they can't formulate a sentence without stuttering, without um, asking if I understand what they mean, without these signals of massive amounts of insecurity because they do not trust that expression. They do not trust their brilliance yet. And in a span of 3 months, they can be generous with that depth that lives inside of them in a way that floors me. I mean, I am regularly blown away at how beautiful that seamless communication can just come through when someone starts to look at it and put their attention there. We like to, there's this expression where your attention goes, your energy flows. And if we're putting all of our attention on what is not working and what is stupid in the world, we're going to allocate our attention and our resources and our energy towards that. I want to just use this as an example because one of the reasons why I focus on emotional intelligence is because what I'm doing is helping people understand their emotional landscape in such a way that they can dismantle that reactive fuel source and learn to take fuel in another way, because our thoughts, the way that, like, our limited beliefs, if you want to call it that, and our nervous system reactions, the amygdala threat response, what we feel we need to protect ourselves from, that actually all you're doing is you're protecting the world from your brilliance. That's really all that's happening. And it's one of the most rewarding things ever to be um, able to offer that to the people who come to work with me, because I get to reap the rewards of seeing them become brilliant in such a short span of time. And it's really actually quite simple. And while this is not scientifically proven, I would be willing to wager that when you are no longer allocating resources to protecting yourself all the time, your IQ can change, because your capacity to receive is larger, and you can receive transmission and receive information and receive language and receive capacities to communicate that um, defy seemingly the ways in which we've been taught that we learn. And I experience that I have gotten smarter or wiser. I don't even know how you would talk about that. Um, since I started putting my attention on this in myself, and I witness it every day with my clients. And it came up in this conversation with my mom yesterday. And my invitation to you today is allow yourself to get brilliant faster. And the way that you do that is to not focus on consuming information, to compensate for not being good enough, not being smart enough, not having enough information, being insecure with the unknown, but rather by putting your attention on who you are at your core and allowing those reactive behaviors or those threat response behaviors to calm down and to subside and to relax, because they're a testament to a threat response that's not necessary most of the time, and in most cases. This is not always true, of course, but that primal urge to self-preserve, um, it has a need, it has an importance, and this message is for you if you feel as though it is disproportionate in your life. It is true that there are people who need to protect themselves. There are people who are living in war zones. There are people who live in much more vulnerable states than the standard person in the Western world. And if you are in a place where you have disproportionate reactions to your environment, and you also non-coincidentally feel as though you are not good enough or not smart enough or that you're stupid, or you might have this as a projection on other people and experience other people as stupid and you as superior, that's also a projection. Take some time to inquire about it and ask yourself, am I open? Am I receptive, or am I defensive and closed off? Because that energy is precious and we have a limited amount of energy. That's like the only thing that's actually limited, is we have a limited amount of energy that we can move through our system on a daily basis. And we have a responsibility to the efficiency of that energy and to the impact of that energy and to how it's used. And I personally believe that our bodies are a microcosm of the planet and of society at large and of the universe. And if each of us were to look inward in that way, extraordinary things could happen. So, passing that along today, I love you deeply. If you have questions about this, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. If you're watching this and watching the replay, I would be so thrilled to hear from you. This is something that I care very deeply about. It's the reason I do what I do, because the rewards of dismantling your reactive behaviors and your existential threats is unparalleled, and it's boundless, and it is bottomless, and it will show you a world that you have yet to discover. And I think that that's wonderful. That's it for me. Have a wonderful day.